What does it mean to dream of hamster visions? What does it mean to dream of hamster visions? I gotta admit, the hamster, although a member of the rat family, strikes quite an interesting figure. You can't quite put your finger on it, but there's something cute about a hamster. Its appearance and behavior are quite different from that more famous member of the rodent family. I am, of course, talking about the rat. While most people would automatically feel nauseated, disgusted, and repulsed by the image of a rat, no matter how clean and well fed, mind you, the same people would find a typical hamster interesting, to say the least. In fact, a lot of small pet enthusiasts consider a hamster the ideal pet. Not only is it cute, but it doesn't take up much space. It has a fairly short life cycle and is easy to maintain. Another fact is that a typical hamster pet cage setup pretty much takes care of itself. When it comes to ease of handling, the hamster is right up there with the cat. If you've ever owned a kitty, you would know that it's pretty much self-cleaning and self-sustaining. It pretty much takes care of itself. Given you have enough food available, it will make sure it doesn't eat all the food all at once. It also cleans up after itself as long as you have a proper kitty litter set up for your feline pet. Almost the same type of system applies to your typical hamster. As long as you have the right beddings and enough food for your furry little friend, it pretty much takes care of itself. This is why it's quite interesting when people see these small, innocuous, and even cute little rodents in their dreams. Make sure that your dream is truly a dream of hamster images. Let's start with the centrality of the hamster image. In a typical dream, you're going to see many different sights. You may be going to one place, from one place to another, or you might even be going on a trip, or you might be going through some sort of process. There's a lot going on. The scenery in your mind's eye changes. That is how a typical dream plays out. But if you notice that the central motif of your dream is a hamster, you need to sit up and pay attention. If the hamster keeps showing up again and again, your subconscious is telling you something. It is obviously using the hamster symbol to drive home a point. How the subconscious works in a dream interpretation. Your subconscious is a distinct blend of other people's influence on you and your own lived experiences. Keep this in mind. Just because you live in a certain culture with a certain range of dream symbology doesn't necessarily mean that you are stuck with that culture and symbology. You also have to factor in the impact of your own personal dream imagery and symbol choices. These are all caused by your own personal, unique experiences. You are your own person. It doesn't matter whether you are aware of it or not. You have a distinct way of looking at your life as well as the world out there. It may seem that you are not all that special, or you might even think that you're just another face in the crowd. But think again. You bring something special to the table, whether you are aware of it or not. This is a crucial aspect of any kind of dream interpretation. Whether it involves a hamster central image or not, you have the beginning of your dream interpretation based on the cultural symbols that you're familiar with, as well as your own distinct and unique personal take. Dreams about hamster images must stand on the firm ground of your personal understanding. There's this interplay between the symbols that you have come to expect and expected meanings and interpretations based on where you are and what time in history you live, and your own distinct twist. At the end of the day, a dream interpretation can only be meaningful on a personal level. It has to make sense to you. That's where its power comes from. On top of that, there's another detail that complicates dream interpretation. The dream meaning often turns on context. Just because there is an overarching interpretation of a particular dream motif doesn't necessarily mean that it applies to your specific dream. You also have to look at many different details that support the central motif. When you dream of a hamster in one context, for example, the proper interpretation as far as accuracy in your waking life is concerned may be the exact opposite of another interpretation brought about by a different context. I hope you understand what I'm getting at here. Try to get as many details as you can. The good news is when you have strong dreams, the dream image usually comes back again and again. It might even seem that your subconscious is playing tricks on you because it tends to appear in different forms and in different settings. But when you pick all these different contextual details apart, they're actually saying the same thing. At the very least, if you keep seeing a hamster or a group of these creatures in your dreams, night after night, several times in a specific dream or several points in a week, you should try to keep some sort of dream journal. The more contextual clues you can detect, the better and more accurate your dream interpretation will be. With that out of the way, let's take a look at hamster dreams in general and the different contexts that they appear in our nighttime visions. What do hamsters in dreams normally mean? Hamsters, in terms of size, are roughly equivalent to mice. But unlike mice and rats, this rodent is actually desired by a lot of people. Many people consider hamsters as the ideal pet. Not only are they cute, but they are easy to take care of and are actually very clean. You don't need to pod them, trim them, or put extra effort in cleaning up after them. Hamsters normally spend a lot of time grooming and they don't stink. When you hold them, they're not dirty. They're very light and they are very easy to take care of. In many cases, when you sniff them, they smell really good. That is how clean and fastidious hamsters are, even though they are in the same family as rats, which many people consider disgusting and repellent. Hamsters are extremely sensitive and are quite exotic. They come in a wide range of shapes and colors. They generally are not vicious nor aggressive. Considering these traits, it's easy to see that our hamster dream indicates some form of contentment in many areas of your life. It's as if you don't have to worry all that much, even though you may not be making as much money, or you possibly could not hold down a prestige job, or your relationship may have seen better days. When you look at that kind of life, and you have hamster dream images, your subconscious is really telling you that things are going well. There seems to be an automatic system that you built up unconsciously over the years that have led you to where you are now. It is not the best, nor is it the worst. Things are just going well, and you should feel comfortable and emotionally at ease with what you have. Another take on the common hamster dream image involves resource management. Hamsters are quite efficient managers of whatever it is that life gives them. They don't eat more food than they need to. They are quite clean and they don't leave a mess. They make sure that the bedding that you lay out for them is nice, clean, and odor-free. They go out of their way to make sure their bedding remains that way. This aspect of the small rodent speaks to your need for better physical management. Your subconscious is telling you that you need to be comfortable enough in life, and if this isn't happening, you need to take more control. In other words, you need to put in more work to make sure that your psychological, emotional, financial, and physical bedding is in order. This does not necessarily mean that you are somehow going to change overnight and become the next Warren Buffett or the next relationship consultant. Instead, your subconscious is telling you that whatever it is you feel that you need to assert control over is actually well within your control. You have a lot more say in your life than you give yourself credit for. So a little bit of effort can go a long way. You don't have to jump in with both feet and expect an overnight revolution in your life or some sort of black and white transformation. That's not what your subconscious is telling you. Instead, it's telling you to start putting in small effort. And once you start seeing the results, you get more motivated and you put in even more effort. And before you know it, you start a chain reaction or a snowball effect. And sooner or later, you get to where you need to go. What does it mean to dream of a hamster giving birth? When you see images of a hamster giving birth in your dream, it is generally a positive indication that opportunities are already present in your life. The main reason why a lot of people feel that they're just unlucky or they don't get the best that life has to offer is that they have often become blind to opportunities. Maybe they think that they are not lucky enough, or they believe that they don't have what it takes. Whatever the case may be, they have slammed the door shut to opportunities because they refuse to see it. When you dream of a hamster giving birth, this indicates that your subconscious is waking you up. You're beginning to develop a certain skill set to identify opportunities and connect the dots. The big difference between people who move up quite a bit in life and those who remain stuck at the bottom or at the middle is the difference in emotional intelligence, or EQ. In many cases, it just boils down to the ability to spot both opportunities and dangers and take advantage of them or avoid them. When you dream of a hamster giving birth, please understand, for that event to happen, the hamster must have gotten pregnant and must have waited for some time before giving birth. The birth itself is the culmination of incubation. A lot of things have to fall into place beforehand for the outcome to turn out the way it does. The same goes for opportunities in your life. It's not enough to spot the opportunities, although this is the most important part. You also have to put in the time, effort, and commitment, and if needed, make the necessary sacrifices to make your dreams come true. When your subconscious keeps showing you an image of a hamster giving birth, pay close attention to the opportunities that you are aware of. Try to connect the dots and realize that the opportunities that you may be overlooking. What does it mean to see a hamster in a cage in your dream? To see a caged hamster indicates that your relationships seem compartmentalized. Now, this is not necessarily a bad thing. We live in a fast-paced society, and unfortunately, relationships, whether family, intimate relationships, or casual friendships, they all, at some level or other, look quite expendable. Many people have different friends in a different context and different areas of their lives at different times. We are actually more comfortable with this reality than we are aware of because we compartmentalize. We say this to ourselves: this is Jim from the office, so I'm friends with him only up to a certain extent. We only talk about certain topics and not others. That's Jen from church, so I only talk to her about certain things, and it's mutually agreed that other areas of our lives are off limits. I can go on and on. We do this automatically. It's as if we're not even thinking. It's a learned skill. It happens almost as if by reaction. It is also important to keep in mind that this is happening because if they don't, you won't get to realize that you are in its cage. This emotional, spiritual, and psychological cage that you have set up for yourself when it comes to your relationships define who you think you are. When you see a hamster in a cage, your subconscious is reminding you that there is compartmentalization in your life, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. When does it become a bad thing? When does it become a problem? It is when you are so unaware that you're doing this, that you feel your friends and family are distant. It's as if you feel that your relationships have grown cold or are somehow out of control. But in reality, it is you who set things up. It is you who chose to look at these people a certain way. Do yourself a big favor. If you keep seeing this image of a caged hamster, take a look at your relationships with the most important people in your life, as well as the many different other people in your life. Be as honest as possible. Now is not the time to engage in self-delusion or any kind of denial. Ask yourself, are these relationships as healthy as you would like? What is it that you can do to reach out and carry yourself in such a way that your relationships would be more rewarding? Are your relationships two-way streets, or are they one-sided? Please understand that when it comes to any kind of advancement in life, your relationships play a big role. In fact, you can tell that somebody's going to do well in life based on the company they keep. That is how important our relationships are. Unfortunately, when you compartmentalize them the wrong way, you only have yourself to blame. What does it mean to dream of wanting to catch a hamster? If one of your dreams involves you getting all stressed out, chasing after a hamster or holding a net trying to capture it, it indicates that there are certain opportunities or even actual money issues in your life that you feel guilty over. Maybe you feel you didn't step up and do what is needed to fully capture an opportunity. In many cases, you feel that other people are doing so much better than you when it comes to careers because you keep running after the wrong targets. When you keep seeing the image of you wanting to catch a hamster or running after the small furry creature again and again, sit up and pay attention. Try to mentally take stock of all the opportunities that you have run after. Did you really put in the effort? Were you going in the right direction? Did you have the right assumptions and expectations? These are the types of questions you should be asking yourself, because otherwise it's very easy to say, I don't have what it takes. I'm just a loser. Life is unfair. You know full well that the first two statements are not true. Perhaps the reason why you keep missing out on opportunities or you feel that you keep screwing up is because you never really put in the amount of effort and focus needed to fully take advantage of those opportunities. Now is not the time to engage in self-delusion, denial, or lying to yourself. You have to admit to yourself, did I really try? Did I go all the way? And if the answer is no, it's perfectly okay. You can start with a clean slate. I don't care if you are in your mid-20s, late teens, or even late 60s. It is never too late, because ultimately the race you're running is against yourself. You don't want to get into that box or have your body prepared to be burned for cremation with your final thought being, I could have tried enough. I would have been somebody else. I should have tried more. Do you see how this works? Regret is the worst emotion to die with. Don't let that happen. You have to put in the effort. You have to commit to that journey and be willing to incorporate whatever it is that you learn along the way to make you a better hunter of your dreams. That's how it works. Be ready to sacrifice. Be ready to go all the way. What does it mean to dream of a hamster in a field? This seemingly innocent dream image is actually quite interesting. It is very deep because it has many different levels. When you see the typical pet hamster living in a cage, it is in a controlled environment. You lay the bedding, you pick the surroundings, you lay out the food, the whole 9 yards. You might even put hamster toys or a treadmill inside. When you see this, one thing is clear. You are in control. On the other hand, when you keep having dreams of a hamster in the middle of a field or scurrying around in tall grasses, this indicates that you may be making certain assumptions regarding certain people in certain major areas of your life. And it turns out that you got them wrong. It turns out that you have less control than you realize. The worst part of all of these is the surprise that comes at the end. You think that you are doing the right thing, making the right calls, deciding things, setting up the right goals, only to end up with nothing or something close to it. When you dream of a hamster in a field, this indicates your sense of control. There is none. You might need to adjust your assumptions and expectations regarding certain people and take different actions. Dreaming of different colors of hamsters. If the hamsters in your dream come in different colors, pay close attention to what color symbology means in this context. To dream of a white hamster means you are likely to fall under the influence of a person. This person might be from work, school, or it could even be a family friend. This is not necessarily bad. When people fall under the influence of others, they start to see eye to eye with that person to the point that they absorb that individual's view of life. Again, this is not necessarily bad or toxic. It can enrich you. There are more than 7 billion people on this planet. That is 7 billion different pairs of eyes and 7 billion different ways of looking at life and the human condition. So when you allow yourself to be influenced by others, you tap into that collective wisdom. Of course, there are limits to this. It's one thing to have an open mind. It's another to just let anything fall in. Please know the difference. To dream of a brown hamster, on the other hand, means you might be about to experience some sort of health-related difficulty. If you keep seeing brown hamsters again and again, it seems that the color of this animal is the central motif of your nighttime vision. Pay careful attention. You might need to go see a doctor and get a checkup, get a workup going, and at the very least get yourself looked at regularly because your subconscious might be picking up on body signals that your busy and distracted mind might actually be overlooking. What does it mean to dream of a dead hamster? There are many ways to interpret this image, but the most common situation that this type of hamster dream imagery signifies is some sort of conclusion. It could be the end of your career, it could be the end of your educational journey. It can also be lights out for a certain relationship in your life. A lot of people might panic and consider this automatically negative. Well, this is not necessarily a bad thing. You have to understand that for you to grow and reach a certain stage in your life, the old you has to give way. When you think that your career is going well, but you end up hitting a wall and you feel like you want to quit because other people are quitting, this is not necessarily the end. In fact, this can be the beginning of something new and exciting. But for all that to happen, you have to first embrace the ending. You have to understand that there is no such thing as forever in all areas of your life. If you're aware of this reality and you accept it, then you would be able to devote your energies to making better choices and creating better realities. At the very least, you can devote all that energy into opening new vistas and new relationships. This is especially true when it comes to your relationships. For relationships to progress and go to a higher level, believe it or not, they have to die. That's right. The old relationship, maybe it's actual or pure, emotional or purely physical, has to die so that the more spiritual or emotionally in tune relationship can arise, grow, blossom, and mature. The old relationship has to die to a more significant type of relationship to take its place. It could be with the same person. Do you see how this works? There's always progression involved. The old you keeps dying, and a new you keeps replacing it. Don't get stuck. When you try to hang on to your old self and the old state of your relationship, you may be hanging on to ghosts because you've changed and your partner changed as well. What does it mean to dream of a fat hamster? When you see a fat hamster alone or in a group, this actually indicates feelings of sexual gratification. You sense that you are going to be enjoying sex more deeply, or at least your subconscious is telling you that you have a lot of physical loving coming your way. It also indicates messaging from your subconscious that you need to be more proactive when it comes to your needs. Maybe when your partner has sex in a certain way and he or she gets what they want, you feel kind of left out in the cold. Maybe you need to speak up or be more active in taking part so the sex act is more of a two-way exchange instead of a one-way enjoyment. Remember, in any kind of relationship, in whatever kind of manifestation, it has to be a two-way street. Both of you must get something out of whatever it is you're doing. Dreaming of many hamsters running around in your household. When you see hamsters running all over the place, it indicates that there's a lot of activity going in your life, whether you are aware of it or not. This can indicate financial gain. This can also indicate that things are quickly moving in terms of career advancement or educational opportunities. Whatever the case may be, this is usually the kind of dream image experienced by people who feel stuck in their lives. It's not uncommon for people who think that they are stuck in their careers or that they made bad choices to see lots of hamsters engaged in frantic activity. What your subconscious is telling you is that you need to be more aware. By being more aware of your impact on others, as well as the seeds that you are planting when it comes to relationships and opportunities, you start taking more control. While it's a good thing that there's a lot of activity that can possibly lead to better outcomes, it's much better to call the shots, or at least try to do so to the extent you can. It all begins with deciding to be more aware. Dreaming of hamsters playing in a hamster wheel. When you see hamsters playing in a typical hamster wheel, this could mean that your subconscious is telling you to take a break, step back, and breathe deeply. A lot of people handle their lives the same way a hamster handles a wheel. It just keeps running in place. They may seem excited, or at a certain point even panicked, but one thing is sure, it's not going anywhere. This scenery might change, but you're still stuck in the same place. If this is the kind of imagery your subconscious is sending you, it might mean that you have to do something different on a profound and deep level in your life. Then and only then will change happen. Remember, that change has to start from within you. By changing what you assume and expect out of common situations and events in your life, you start the process of ending up somewhere different. As the old saying goes, anxiety is defined by doing the same thing over and over while expecting a different result each time. The same definition has also been extended to defining idiocy or stupidity or insanity. No matter the case, if you are just spinning in a wheel, mindlessly doing the same thing that you've done the day before and the day before that, don't expect things to change. It is this expectational change that frustrates you. Do yourself a favor. Focus on the outcome. Take ownership of the fact that whatever you decide to do today and the quality of your actions determine the results that you get. You are responsible, not your childhood, not your background, not your parents, and certainly not the people around you. Ultimately, you control your life. Act like it. The best way to take control is to be more aware of your mindset and its impact on your decisions and make better decisions. This is the foundation for real, profound personal change.